Well, just one other example. At the end of January, Customs and Border Patrol seized 900,000 $1 bills. They were counterfeit. They came from China. Nobody counterfeits $1 bills, Rob. You know, it's just not done for profit. And by the way, nobody in China's near total surveillance state, nobody can counterfeit U.S. currency without the Communist Party knowing about it.
Right.
So what's going on here? I tend to think that China was trying to fuel protest groups in our country. We saw in May in Louisville, Customs and Border Patrol seized 10,800 parts for assault weapons. These came from Shenzhen in China. We've got to be concerned about China's links to these protest groups. And also, just one other point. Everyone says, the State Department says, Justice Department says, look, we closed China's Houston consulate because of spying. And yes, we did. And they were also involved in other dangerous activities. But there's also a hint, unconfirmed, but there's a hint that the Houston consulate was involved in links with protest groups, providing financial and logistical support. We need to investigate these because we see so many other facts, and that leads us to the question, what is China doing?
Indeed.
Before we get to the consulates, let's talk just for a second about the weapons that were seized, the weapons parts, right? And they put a dollar amount on them. It wasn't a large total dollar amount. It was $100,000 something dollars worth, but it was enough for a lot of weapons. From my understanding, those were parts that turned conventional semi-automatic rifles into automatic rifles. So they're far more dangerous than the value would suggest. If you put those into some of the militia groups that are carrying weapons around, you've created essentially semi-automatic rifles. And those are illegal parts, and they were seized, and they've been shipped into the country. You got to wonder, what are they up to?
Yeah, well, you know, if these were to come from Great Britain or something, you'd say, well, was it the government or was it just sort of criminals? But we know that in a near total surveillance state, China's extremely sophisticated. You can't build these parts. You can't send them to the United States without the Communist Party knowing about it. So we have to assume that this was not just some sort of criminal in Shenzhen. This was a criminal in Shenzhen who had the backing of somebody in Beijing. China wanted this to occur. And we have, as I mentioned, the counterfeit bills, which are inexplicable.
Dollar bills.
I mean, it's just $1 bills. I mean, people don't even counterfeit $5 bills anymore.
Now, North Korea does a good job with $100 bills, but why in the world would you do a $1 bill?
Oh, and by the way, when North Korea counterfeits those super notes, their operations are usually in China.